Hello everyone, welcome back to this channel. If you're new here, my name is Colleen and I'm really pleased that you're here with us today. And today I was thinking about what I could do to help you get through that period between Christmas Day and New Year's, where you're staring at the turkey maybe for the last time and you really don't want to waste it. And I thought, you know, there's so much you can do. You can have it left over and left over and left over, but at some point you need to freshen it up. And I think that today's turkey rice soup could freshen that up, and I'll give you some options along the way. So stick around, I'll gather up some things and I will be back shortly. Now we're going to make some soup, some turkey rice soup. And if you have leftover vegetables, this could be a way of using them up, or in my opinion, you could start fresh because the leftovers are getting tired and your palate is getting tired of the same old flavors. So I'm just going to adjust this camera and we'll get to work starting a fresh soup and something that tastes fresh, and we'll get started with these carrots. So I do hope that this is timely for you, that you're not having to root around after the Christmas holiday, that this will still be fresh on your mind and you'll think, wow, I know exactly what to do to get rid of that last little bit of turkey without wasting it. Now I'm just going to peel up these carrots. We're going to start with their, you know, the standard soup mix of the mirepoix, which is carrots and celery and onion. And we're just going to trim them up. I've washed everything in advance. And I'm going to trim these up. If you're saving peels and ends of the stalks for soup, keep them in a bowl so that you can put them in the freezer, so that next time you make stock you have those on the ready. And I've got one, probably a small onion. It's not very big. This isn't intended to be a soup big enough to feed like a huge crowd, but it could easily feed 4 or, you know, a couple meals. Not that you're looking to make leftovers from leftovers, but a couple meals for a couple. And so, folks, you're down to the end. You're down to that last day before the holidays start, before Christmas Day. I'm just going to keep these stalks of celery. I'm going to keep them in the half moons because as the days progress after we've had a turkey dinner, everything starts to feel like it's been mashed or overheated or something. So it's important to kind of keep some things together that are remind us that there is fresh food to be had. So I'm going to do the same with the carrots. I'm going to treat them the same way. Now I have 2 really large carrots, so depending on your family or your preferences, you may want to make these smaller, but I kind of like to see the big pieces of the carrot in there. I mean, if you're going to use it, it might as well be well represented, although this is a lot of carrot. I may just use half of this large one. We'll see. I'll start that way and I'll have a look. It wouldn't hurt to have, you know, 1.5 or 2 cups of carrots for sure. Or you could add other fresh vegetables that just come right out of your fridge. Or add a cup of frozen peas. because that could make a difference. There, I think that looks good. I don't think I'm going to need this other half of the carrot. So we may chew on that. So now I'm going to get these into a pot on the stove, the big soup pot, and I'm going to start to sweat them down. And I will bring you over there so that you can see what that looks like. Okay, I've just started the heat underneath my soup pot, and I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of oil into the pot. And I'm also going to add about maybe about 4 teaspoons of butter. And I'm just going to let this melt down a little bit. And when it has, then I'm going to add my vegetables to the pot. Now I've got it all melted, and I'm going to add the vegetables. So in goes the celery, the onions, and the carrots. And I start these off beforehand because each of them can take some time to soften. So now is a good time to get them started. And I will keep stirring this and checking on it, and we're going to work at this for probably about 5 minutes. And today we are definitely not making our own stock. I feel like as Christmas has come and gone, we are all stretched for resources, and I'm tired. I'm sure you're tired, and there's absolutely no sense in making stock when we already have so much on the go. I'm tired. I bet you are too. It's that after the holiday glow, or whatever we want to call it, that's going on right now. I'm just going to put the mushrooms aside, and I'm going to trim up 2 cloves of garlic that I will mince up here to put in to our pot with our other aromatics that are going on over there. Oh boy. And so you could just grate these cloves of garlic, or you could just mince them up the way I'm going to. I usually grate them, but I think for this application I want the pieces to be, you know, a little bigger. Not everybody enjoys garlic, and this way you could pick around it. I hope that your holidays are going exactly as you wanted them to, that your loved ones have been around, and that if they haven't yet, that they will be before the season is over. So now I think I'm just going to have a sip of my tea, and then we'll head back to the stove because I can smell those aromatics getting ready in that pot. There they are, just cooking down nicely in the pot. And I'm going to bring the mushrooms and the garlic over and dump them in and get them working as well. In goes the garlic. And in goes the mushrooms. I'm not sure that I stated this very clearly before, but this soup, if we have everything sort of prepped, only takes about 30 minutes to cook, which is pretty handy for homemade soup when we're right in that heart of that busy holiday season. Now into here I'm going to add a half a teaspoon of salt or thereabouts. I don't want to add any more than a half a teaspoon because my chicken stock is not low sodium. And we know that can bring a lot of salt to the table for sure. And I also have, I'm going to add half a teaspoon of thyme to this mix. Give that a good stir so that everything's getting mixed up really well. And I'm going to cook this off for a couple of minutes, maybe up to 5 minutes, just to sweat those mushrooms down a little bit before we start to add our stock to this mixture. I don't know about you guys, but this looks good already. I am really happy with the aromas that are coming off this, but then who doesn't love the smell of cooked onions and butter, all those things that get our tummy growling. If you're a home cook, this has lots of shortcuts in it, but it's also a very good cook. So now, because I really want to jazz this up a little bit, and turkey left over for a couple of days doesn't necessarily have the most flavor, I'm going to add 1 packet of chicken bouillon to this. Now, if you had better than chicken or something that you would prefer, now would be the time to add that. I would just do it one at a time because we're building flavor here, and we don't necessarily want to wait until the end because we can get a lot more flavor out of the food as we go along on the journey. It's not everything dumped in at the end. We're building the flavor as we go. So I think that's pretty good. Now I'm going to add chicken broth. I just have chicken broth in the container, and I'm going to pour in this 4 cups. I may actually use around 6 cups or a little more. Yeah, maybe I'll go 6 cups at least here. And I'll turn the heat back up so that we can get this to the boil. And yeah, maybe right about there. Now you can see it's just coming back to the boil. So at this point I am going to add to the pot a half a cup of rice. You can do this more or less if you like. This would also be a time that you could add, you know, maybe some white beans if you would like to have beans in your soup. That would be something you could add at this point. And I am also going to add at this point, it's probably close to 3 cups of turkey thighs, so the dark meat. Usually in our house the dark meat doesn't get left behind because my husband prefers it over white meat, but this time we have all dark meat to work with. So that's what we're going to do. And I'm just going to mix this all in, and I will come back to check on this frequently because I don't want that rice to stick to the bottom of the pot, so we need to keep it moving until it starts to get cooking, and then even then you want to be checking on it frequently. So once it comes back to the boil, I'll turn the pot down and I'll put a lid on it. That won't take long, but this is the part you have to be kind of mindful of. Now I think in total so far we are still under the 30-minute mark for this soup from the time that I started, and it does take, you know, about 20 minutes to cook the rice all the way through. But I still think this would be, you know, something nice and fresh for the soup. I'm going to add a little bit of lemon juice to it to brighten it up just before we serve it up too. And you can see it's getting thicker, and that's what we want. I intentionally left the vegetables bigger, and I'm glad that I did because it makes it look heartier somehow. You could also make this into a cream soup simply by making a roux with equal parts flour and butter and putting that in the soup, and you got to stir like mad when you do that, but it will thicken it up. Or you could reduce the amount of stock that you're putting in and add some good heavy cream in there instead of stock. So yeah, there's lots of options for this, but I like the soup made this way with leftovers because it is a completely fresh taste. Now, if you're trying to use up your leftover vegetables, of course, this is a good way to do it. Even your mashed potatoes, if you put mashed potatoes into this soup, it will help it to thicken the soup rather than just taste like leftover mashed potatoes. It will thicken the soup up. So you can see it's come back to the boil. I'm going to turn the stove down to medium heat, and I'm going to put the lid on. And once this is all ready, we'll come back and you can see how we're going to finish it off. And look at this. Absolutely fabulous. And the rice is cooked through. The vegetables are nice and soft, and this is beautiful and thick. So join me at the counter while I prepare this into a bowl, and you can have a closer look. Now the last thing I'm going to do for this soup, just to cut some of the richness, because this is pretty rich, is I'm going to put in the juice of about, half a lemon, just to add a little pep to it. You could add, the juice of a whole lemon if that's what you choose, but I would give it a stir and taste it first before I do that, and just adjust the seasonings as well and make sure. That's perfect right there. And so now I'm just going to scoop it and make sure that I'm getting some of that beautiful broth in there, as well as the vegetables. And there you go. Would you have a look at that? I think it's just about a perfect, simple, straightforward meal that we didn't have to put a lot of effort into, which is just what we need at this time of the year. And there we are, folks. Absolutely beautiful, steaming hot off of the stove. And it is so good. Today it's cold out here. Fahrenheit, it's probably around -15, and the snow has quit because it's just too cold for it even to snow, so we don't have to worry about that. But I hope that wherever you are in the world, that you're settled in and that you're comfortable and that you have something warm to eat, and reflect on those maybe who don't and ways that you can help them in the coming year. I wish you all a Merry Christmas and a happy 2023, and I look forward to bringing you more content in the coming year. So I would ask that you subscribe to the channel so you can keep track of me and see what I'm up to, and give this video a like and share it with your friends. You'll be happy that you did, and I will see you again soon. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.